Hello, friends. Today, we'll be talking about The Grey Bastards by Johnathan French. So before we discuss The Grey Bastards, I always like to mention before these types of videos how I structure my reviews or my Let's Talk About videos. I'm weird about spoilers. So if you're here and want to avoid spoilers, you're safe. I won't spoil anything for you. I'll give you my takeaways for the book, and you can get an impression of whether or not it may be for you or not for you. I'm not going to give you a beat by beat of what happened. I'm not going to tell you everything that happened in the book. I want you to experience that for yourself, like I did. So I don't want to spoil that experience for you. So The Grey Bastards is kind of like a mix of Sons of Anarchy and fantasy, and it's about a biker gang that don't ride bikes, and I won't give away what they do ride because I think it's pretty neat. But you'll get that dynamic of the bike club, like the motorcycle club. You learn about the dynamics between how the club works, the friendships that are developed because of the biker club, the enemies that they make, the political maneuvering, that dynamic. People are vying for power, and we also have a big world that we learn about. Now, during the book, I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of world that was being developed. So I thought, well, it seems a little contained. But when I got to the end of the book and when I reflected on what I read, it's like, wow, this is a big world. And I think the way that the story rolls out is the way that we find more information. It happens as the story is moving. So you learn more about it as you need to learn more about it. And so there's a big world, but you don't realize you're learning about this world so much because it comes along with the story as you're unfolding this story. Some of my favorite parts of the book was the banter back and forth between the different characters. There's some really funny dialogue. It can get a little crude because it's a biker gang. They're going to have some not so nice things to say to each other all the time. There is a scene, and I won't give away what it is, later in the book that this will be tough to describe without spoiling anything. There's a scene late in the book that a certain character, bad things happen to a certain character, and it's been done in other fantasy books it's been kind of eye rolling, like it just wasn't set up right. It just happened to pull on your heartstrings, and it just felt cheap. In The Grey Bastards, it is pulled off very well. It was done very well. And those of you who had read The Grey Bastards, I think you know what I'm talking about, because if you've read it, you probably can already guess what scene I'm talking about. But it was very well done, and it got me. It tugged my heartstrings at the end. But the book is very lighthearted. It's like a lighthearted read. It's fun. And a lot of the books that I normally read, those of you who have been around for a while know that I like reading the darker toned books. I'm like the brooding, the dark and brooding type of stuff is what I'm usually into. So this was a nice change of pace. It took itself seriously enough to where it didn't feel like a joke, but it didn't take itself too seriously to where it felt like it was, it couldn't laugh at itself sometimes because it realized how kind of silly it is. And the action is very well written. Another thing, if you've been around me for a while, if you've been around here for a while, you know that I'm not big on long action scenes. The action is very well done, but in some of the scenes it kind of lost me a little bit. But it is very well done. There were some scenes that kept me reading, and when I normally just like skim through action, there was a couple of scenes that kept me glued to what was happening. So that's something that doesn't happen very often. Very well written. It's an easy read. It's not very long for a fantasy book. It's only 300 pages or 400 pages long, but it does not feel like a 400-page book. It goes very fast. It's very smooth. It's very easy, lighthearted, fun read. It's perfect for a palate cleanser if you're looking for something different, something that, like I said, it takes itself seriously, but it's not real heavy. It's not, it's not something you have to take notes while you're reading. It is something that you respect for the amount of work and time that everything that was put into it, but it doesn't feel like a chore sometimes to read. It's just like a fun book. It's like what it reminded me of, and someone asked me earlier this week, they were sick with COVID, and they said, suggest some books to me because I don't feel like doing anything, but I want to read. And the first book that popped in my mind is, I told them, read The Grey Bastards. It's a perfect book when you're not feeling well, if you're sick or you're just home. It's just like an easy, lighthearted, fun read. So we are reading this series one after another, and we're finishing in May with a get-together with Johnathan French to have a spoiler-filled discussion for the entire series. So I'm excited for that. We'll be reading this book, or one book, about one book per month. So anyone who wants to join us, check our forums if you'd like to participate in that. Anyone's welcome to join us. But like I said, it is a very easy, fun, lighthearted read. It's a great fantasy book, or even if you want to get into fantasy and don't know where to start and don't want anything too heavy, this is perfect for you. Have you read The Grey Bastards? If you have, let me know down below what you thought of it. As always, I hope this review was helpful. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.